Thank you,
Biafra.
Thank you for standing with Israel. Thank you for standing with the American-Israeli alliance. And thank you for standing up for the truth. Now, I know that's not been easy because over the past 2 years, we've all been subjected to a tsunami of lies, vilifications, vituperations that are reminiscent of the worst anti-Semitic attacks in history. I know you have been suffering such attacks. The American Jewish community and other Jewish communities have suffered not only anti-Semitic slurs, but also murderous attacks. And of course, so did we in Israel. We suffered on October 7th a brutal attack that was meant to destroy us, to wipe Israel off the map. That's what the Iran Axis sought to do on October 7th. Iran's proxies sought and seek to annihilate the Jewish people, and their patron Iran sought and seeks to annihilate the Jewish state. But for the past 2 years, since October 7th, we've rolled them back. We fought a seven-front war against this axis of evil. And thanks to the incredible courage of our soldiers, we rolled back this threat to our existence and to our future. We battered Hamas, we hammered Hezbollah, we helped bring down the murderous Assad regime, we struck the Houthis, we attacked pro-Iranian militias, and we also attacked Iran itself. With America's help, we rolled back Iran's nuclear bomb program and its ballistic missile threat. That axis has been greatly weakened, but it's still there. It's licking its wounds. It still chants, death to America, death to Israel. I appreciate the efforts that President Trump is making to ensure that those threats against both our countries do not reappear. We have never had a greater friend in the White House than President Donald J. Trump. And I want to tell you that I value the support of Americans from both sides of the aisle. I know it's been difficult for some, and I respect your courage, your honesty, the fact that you're willing to stand up against colleagues who sometimes bow their head to this anti-Semitism. You do not. I salute you. As far as Gaza is concerned, we set 3 objectives. The first was to return all our hostages. And with the incredible heroism of our soldiers, we returned most of them. But still we had a few dozen hostages that remain in Gaza, both living and dead. And people said basically, you either submit to Hamas or you're never going to get them out. We thought, and I thought, otherwise. With our military action into Hamas's last stronghold, Gaza City, and with President Trump's bold diplomatic pressure on the other side, we combined those twin pressures and got all of our hostages out, right to the last hero, Rani Gvili. We got every single hostage back. Many didn't believe we'd do it, but I believed it. President Trump believed it, and we did it. And I thank each of you for your support because I know so many of you contributed to this effort in so many ways. Thank you. Thank you all for the efforts you did. The second objective we set out to achieve is to dismantle Hamas's military and governing capabilities. We're well on our way to achieve that too. Hamas must disarm and Gaza must be demilitarized. Now that can be done the easy way or it can be done the hard way. But I can assure you, it will be done. The third objective we set out to do is to make sure that Gaza never poses a threat to Israel again. That requires de-radicalization. That's a difficult word, but it means re-education. It means a change. It's been done in other parts of the world. It's been done in some Gulf states. It's been done in Japan and Germany. So the first thing we have to make sure is de-radicalization. But that also depends on security arrangement, where Israel is responsible for overall security. Israel and Israel alone can guarantee that, and we shall. I want to say a few words about the state of the American-Israeli alliance. In many ways, it's never been stronger. The extent, the depth of our cooperation is astounding. It would have been unimaginable just a few years ago, but it's there. And this serves not only the interest of Israel, but it serves the interest of the United States. Israel provides invaluable intelligence, technology, and regional cooperation in ways that serve the interests of the United States and its allies. The United States National Security Council issued a memorandum a few weeks ago. I don't know if you read it. If you haven't, you must. Because it called Israel, and only Israel, of all the countries on the planet, it called Israel the United States model ally. America is Israel's indispensable ally, and Israel is America's model ally. That doesn't surprise any of you, because you've been championing this alliance for so many years, and I salute you for doing that. One thing that we understand is that the challenges before us have not ended. But this alliance gives us the opportunity to fashion a new reality in our region, a reality of security, prosperity, and peace. And the benefits will accrue not only to us, but to America and its allies as well. See, when Israel intercepts a missile over Jerusalem or Tel Aviv, we're not only protecting our children, we're pioneering the technologies that protect America's soldiers, America's allies, and America's homeland. This is not a one-way alliance. It is shared security, shared innovation, shared strength. Our goal is a totally different Middle East, a Middle East where radical axes are replaced by alliances of innovation, where terror corridors are replaced by trade corridors, where peace is built not on illusion, but on strength. That's why I've told Iran that if it attacks us, we will respond with unimaginable force. And we are committed to defending our allies, including the Druze in Syria. We saved them from massacres. But even as we win on the battlefield, we're fighting on another front. We're fighting on the battle for truth. The truth is that we were brutally attacked on October 7th. The truth is that we have fought a just war by just means on 7 fronts. The truth is that from Gaza to Yemen to Iran, we have hit our enemies harder than they've been ever hit before. But the truth is also this: we've been vilified and falsely accused of genocide at the very moment when, according to John Spencer, head of urban warfare studies at West Point and perhaps the world's greatest expert on urban warfare, he said Israel applied more measures to prevent civilian casualties than any military in the history of urban warfare. That is the truth. Radical voices on the left spread lies about genocide. Radical voices on the right demand that Jews take DNA tests. Both are wrong, both are dangerous, and both must be confronted. Because this is not just a war for security, it's a war for truth. The truth is that the Jewish people have lived in our ancestral homeland, the land of Israel, for 3,500 years. The truth is that David set our capital, King David set our capital in Jerusalem 3,000 years ago. The truth is that although we represent only 0.2%, 1/5% of the world's population, the Jewish contribution to humanity in every field, in medicine, in science, in physics, in so many areas, has been unmatched. The truth is that Israel is not a burden to America. Israel is a strategic asset to America, as the American National Security Council itself says. I treasure and value, as do all Israelis, the great support we've been receiving from America all these years. And you, AIPAC, should also be credited for helping out in this alliance. But I want to move from aid to partnership, because that's where we are. We are partners. And no one can appreciate America more than Israel. And I believe that many, many Americans understand that America has no better ally than Israel. And a final word on anti-Semitism. It's been part of our history for over 2 millennia. 500 years before the birth of Christ, we've had anti-Semitism, and ever since, it's been there. The vilifications through the Middle Ages and through modern times, including right up to the Holocaust, continue. Now, some believe that after the Holocaust, there would be an end to this horrible curse. Well, it turns out it was only a brief interlude. And as anti-Semitism rears its ugly head again, there's only one thing to do in order to fight it. And that's to fight it. Whether it's in the military battlefield or on the political battlefield of public opinion in America or Europe or elsewhere, we have to fight it. So I have only one message for you. Don't bow your heads. Don't cower before it. People respect those who respect themselves and are willing to fight for the truth and fight for their rights. That's what every Jew should do. All Jews who pride themselves in being part of the great Jewish nation should actively fight anti-Semitism. It is the battle for Israel. It's the battle for the Jewish people. It's the battle for the great alliance with the United States of America. It's the battle for truth. We shall fight on all these fronts, and we shall win.
I beg, hold on, pay attention to this video. After this video, listen to what Mazan and the Kanu tell the Israel about Biafra. And don't forget to share this video to everyone on every social media platform. And click the subscribe button for more updates. Share this video right now. Don't forget to click the subscribe button for more updates.
Of a simple truth. Israel is coming back to Africa, and Africa is coming back to Israel. I believe in Africa. I believe in Africa. I believe in its potential, present and future. It is a continent on the rise. Its people are diverse and talented. I've made strengthening our relations one of our top priorities, national and international priorities of the State of Israel. It's the reason I became the first Israeli Prime Minister to visit Africa in decades. Well, one thing I can assure you, it won't be decades until an Israeli leader visits Africa again.
But let's talk a little bit about your people story in Biafra. How many people there consider themselves Jewish, and how did it manifest itself?
Biafra in total has about a population of, say, 70 million people scattered all over the world. As you know, they've called us the wandering Jews of Africa. But those that identify themselves with their Jewish heritage is nearly about 50 million people.
15 million people?
50 million people.
Do they practice Judaism? They practice Judaism?
A significant number of them practice Judaism.
In what way?
In terms of their prayers, in terms of the Torah that they read, in terms of the kippah and the talit they used to pray, in terms of their recitation of their prayers, is a very significant segment of the population that actually practice it as we do, or most of us do in IPOB. The problem is that when IPOB is the indigenous people of Biafra, is this umbrella movement all over the world that is pursuing the emancipation of Biafra from Nigeria. So what's been happening is that when Christianity came with colonialism, a lot of our Jewish heritage was suppressed. We were made to feel ashamed of our Jewishness, so to speak. But luckily, unfortunately for us, a lot of people bravely maintain that very tradition and culture till this very day. If you go to Umweri in Anambra State, it is there. All over the world, it is there. And even the Encyclopedia Britannica of 1929 mentioned it quite specifically that the Igbos are the Jews of Africa, because all the traditions you have from circumcision to everything that you can think of in the book of Leviticus, we're talking about the
Igbo nation, the Igbo people.
Yes.
Not all of them are Jewish, right? Not all the Igbos are Jewish, or they are.
They are all Jewish. The problem is that with the influence and influx of Christianity as a result of colonialism, a lot of that was dampened down. What happened was a lot of our emphasis was moved away from the Torah, the Old Testament, to the New Testament. But because the Old Testament still contained aspects of our tradition and our culture, we accepted the Bible as it was given to us.
Okay, let's. We have a short clip showing you guys in Biafra in your Judaism way of life here.
Yes.
Hallelujah. Oh, say shalom. 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 Hallelujah. Oh, say shalom.
It's the sound, centuries of colonial returning to what they say are their native roots. A place
quite fascinating.
Very, very fascinating.
Now I want to look at the map of Biafra and Nigeria, and maybe this map tells a little bit of the story. So actually, you guys in Biafra, what are you struggling for? What is your aim in your struggle? Why there is such a confrontation between you and the authorities?
Because we want to go back to the way we were before the British came. Most of our problems was basically made by the British. The way Nigeria was put together is the root cause of the problem.
I'm talking about these days. Okay, there was a war, and Biafra was kind of independence between 1967 and 1970, I guess.
That's correct, yes.
And since then, it's part of Nigeria. What do you want? You want an independence state of Biafra? You want to be a Jewish state? You want kind of autonomy? What did you like? What do we want?
We want an
for?
independent Jewish state, a Biafran state that is absolutely independent of anything to do with Nigeria, for the simple reason that we were independent before the British came.
But you want to be a Jewish state?
Absolutely. To go back to a way of life, there's a place called Arochukwu where we come from. The same way you have Jerusalem. The same way you have the temple in Jerusalem, we had one in Arochukwu, the same thing. So we want to go back to that way of life, to worshiping the one and only true God that we know.
Is there anyone within the Israeli establishment that recognize you as a Jewish people?
Absolutely. I'm sure that during the time of...
I'm just interrupting. This is you praying at the Western Wall at the Kotel.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Yes. I prayed there also in the year 2013 when I came to Israel.
So coming back to my question about the recognition by Israel to your Jewish way of life, or to your Jewish heritage?
Our Jewish heritage.
Yeah.
And our way of life, yes. Isaac Rabin made some statements about that. Also, Henry Kissinger, the former United States Secretary of State, also made some comments about it as well. If you go to the Nixon papers regarding the Biafran War, it's all there, very clearly spelled out. But I think there seems to be this kind of paranoia that should Biafra get closer to Israel, that 70 million people will somehow flock to the land of Israel. But that is not the case. We are seeking Biafra, so we can return to Biafra and be in Biafra.
Let's go back to your personal story.
Yes.
You have been persecuted or arrested in Biafra. What was the story about?
I arrived in Nigeria, in Lagos, on the 14th of October 2015, and I was arrested from London. I was arrested for demanding for freedom for my people, because I run Radio Biafra in London, and the authorities didn't like it. Then I had to go down to, I had to go home basically to see my people, and they arrested me and kept me locked away for 19 months.
19 months?
Yes, despite 2 court judgments to set me free. They took me to court, and the court...
More than a year and a half in custody?
Absolutely.
And then what happened?
And then they eventually granted me bail with very stringent conditions. When I came out, I continued to speak to my people. I continued to practice my Judaism, my Jewish faith. And one day they came to my house to kill me. The Nigerian army came to my house to kill me.
What was it like? I mean,
I wouldn't wish anybody to go through it. They killed 28 people in the process.
how many?
28 people died.
By the attempt to kill you?
To kill me, they killed 28 people.
How come they killed 28 people and they didn't get to you?
Because my people evacuated me before they could get to my bedroom.
And then you flew away?
Then they took me away and smuggled me out of Nigeria. I needed some time to recover, which I did, and then I had to make my way to Israel.
I see you're very excited.
I wouldn't call it excitement. I would say relief that I managed to make it to the only place that I feel safe in the whole world. I could have gone back to England, but I still don't feel safe to go back to England. That's why I stayed in Israel.
Okay, we're approaching the end of this conversation. Do you have any expectation from Israel government, from the Israeli society?
Yes, it is to live up to the obligations to defend Judaism and Jewish faith all over the world. We are being persecuted. We are suffering as a people. And it is the responsibility, I believe, moral responsibility of Israel to make sure that Biafra stands as an independent entity in Africa.
Namdi Kanu from the Igbo people in Biafra. I want to thank you so much for this conversation and wish you all the best.
Thank you very much for having me.
Judge Saul, he is a humanitarian, he is founder and CEO of Equipping the Persecuted, and a long-time advocate for displaced communities, displaced Christian communities in Nigeria. Mr. Saul, thank you for joining us. Welcome to the program.
Hey, thank you, Chamberlain. Thanks for having me on.
Okay, so for those who are seeing for the first time, who don't actually have a grasp of what you're doing and why you're doing what you're doing, could you give us a background as to why you're doing what you're doing here in Nigeria?
Well, Equipping the Persecuted is a boots-on-the-ground mission. We work with Nigerians all over the Middle Belt And our main goal, since we've been created, was to assist the persecuted Christians in Nigeria respond to the attacks as quickly as possible with food, aid, medicine, to the best of our capabilities and resources available. And of course, we've been a very big advocate for those persecuted Christians.
Okay, so we understand that you did play some role in that report that was submitted by Congressman Moore in terms of part of the research and then the congressional hearing as well. How deep were you? What kind of role did you play?
We've been advocating for Christians in Nigeria for a long time, and when this came about and President Trump took interest in this, we were one of the groups that they reached out to find out what's actually happening, because there seemed to be a lot of misinformation, especially coming out of the Nigerian government and the mainstream media as to what's actually going on. And who do they turn to? They'll turn to Americans who actually are in Nigeria and know what's happening.
Well, I'm sure you've also have heard different narratives. Some say the characterization given to what's going on kind of weakens the entire narrative and takes away from whether or not it's actually going to get the kind of attention or the kind of solution required. So when you say Christian genocide, could you give us a background as to how you came about that, calling it a Christian genocide?
Based on what I've seen with my own eyes, and based on who people we work with on the ground in Nigeria see with their own eyes. The dead bodies, the names of the victims, the multiple Christian villages that have been completely eradicated, don't lie. And it is a genocide when you're completely wiping out entire Christian communities off the map in Plateau and Taraba and Benue, and entire towns, communities completely gone and destroyed and renamed even after the attackers take over the communities. It only points to one thing: it's genocide. And I don't know how you can play word games or mind games to deny that reality. But, I see a lot of scheming in Nigeria and a lot of maneuvering and planning. It's like in Nigeria, they can come up with a scam or a scheme for any possible scenario except for the truth itself.
Well, some people will say that we've sort of, it's nice to speak with you, Mr. Judd Saul. Some people will say that we've since moved beyond this, even though it appears that we haven't quite done so, especially given the report of Representative Riley Moore, Congressman Riley Moore. I just wanted to, because I know that you've been in the country for quite a while. From what we see, you've been working in Nigeria since about 2011 or so. It's a long time before you finally founded your organization, Equipping the Persecuted. But for a number of Nigerians, they know that the issues are also a little more complex than they appear on the surface to be. There are issues of extremist jihadist movements that are affecting not just Christians, for instance, but also Muslims. And, they believe that the manner in which the conversation has been framed as to just persecuting Christians, as though they were the primary targets, rather than they also being, let's say, a part of the, alongside other victims who might not necessarily be Christians or Muslims. And that framing is problematic in a country as diverse, as multi-ethnic, as, with many religions as we currently witness, and has the potential to create even more chaos, even more problems than we're currently witnessing. Given your knowledge, because I'm not very certain how far in Nigeria you've traveled, if you've been to the southern parts of Nigeria, if there are just certain areas that you have been to, from your own understanding, and you can tell us other parts of the country that you have been to, how would you characterize, for instance, the Boko Haram terrorism, which took root predominantly in places like Borno State, which also took out many communities and displaced lots of people from their communities?
Well, I think people do a disservice to what's actually happening in Nigeria by just calling it, well, it's a complicated situation. It's you have Boko Haram, you have ISIS, you have the Fulani ethnic militia. You have three different essential terrorist elements in Nigeria that are operating. What do they all have in common? They all want to take over Nigeria and turn it into their own type of caliphate. And they do not work well with others. And so, yes, Muslims are being affected by the terrorism is because you have Boko Haram on one side, you have the ISIS faction on another, they don't like each other. And the Fulani don't like ISIS. Sometimes they get along with Boko Haram, sometimes they don't, but they do have one agenda, and that is conquer Nigeria, turn it into a caliphate, and anyone that doesn't agree needs to be eliminated. I mean, this is what they've said with their own words. When you have terrorist elements that tell you what they want to do, and they tell you their end goal and objective, we should probably take them seriously. And we shouldn't be laying cover and protection for their agenda. It's very clear. Now, terrorist elements all over the world, when they don't get along with one another, they kill each other. But they have one thing in common. Let's eradicate anything that gets in its way. And they all have another thing in common, and that is they hate Christians. And you don't see Muslim communities being completely wiped off the map and renamed. You don't see, I'd say for every Muslim that's killed in these attacks, and based on my numbers, it's 5-to-1 ratio. 5 Christians are killed for every Muslim. And of course, there's going to be people in the middle that are attacked that are part of this violence, but it is a continuous targeted attack to get rid of specifically Christian communities because, one, they don't ideologically agree, so they get in their way of the politics, and that's what's happening. What we're witnessing right now is a real-life jihad taking place against anybody ideologically and religiously.
Okay. Well, you've got this terror tracker, which was worrying when people look at that. So looking at that terror tracker, how did your group come up with this? Because there seems to be threats all over the place.
Yeah, it's really crazy. Looking at it's nttmap.org, Nigeria Terror Tracker, nttmap.org. And we have imported every attack in Nigeria that's taken place over the last 5 years. In about 1 week, it will be every attack since 2001. And each attack has source documentation. These are documented attacks. How did we get the information? Combined from data from several sources that we went through and we verified each claim, each data. This took several months and several man hours to put this together. But it gives you a clear visual of what Nigeria is dealing with in one picture. And it's not only just, here's the attacks, but it's who did the attacks, who perpetrated, verified who were part of these attacks. And it's a great resource for people to look at. And I think for Nigerians to look at internally and say, you know what, instead of playing word games, we should probably address this issue.
May I ask, though, why Nigeria? Why are you interested in Christians in Nigeria?
I came here in 2011 with my grandfather, who was doing mission work here in Nigeria. And when I first came to Nigeria, I fell in love with the people, fell in love with the country, and you know, coming from a place like America, and just as a Christian, and seeing fellow Christians in Nigeria that don't have the comfort we have in America, that don't have the resources, and they're struggling every day just to live. But when I saw Nigerians show up on Sunday wearing their Sunday best and giving it all to the glory of God and praising Him despite all the afflictions, all the stuff that's happening to them, they have a joy in the Lord unlike anything I've ever seen. And that's what made me fall in love with this country.
All right. So as we wind down, the bill before Congress, it still has some hurdles to cross. Are you confident that that bill will eventually pass?
I believe that there's enough support in the U.S. House to pass it, and I think we can get some bipartisan support, even from the Democrat side, and get some votes on it to pass.
But there's got to be something in this for America, isn't it? It can't be just large or basically humanitarian, is it?
From what I understand, the United States, the State Department is doing humanitarian and aid differently than it has in the last 50 years. And after talking to Riley Moore, Congressman Chris Smith, Senator Hawley, and others in the U.S. Congress, they don't have an economic bent to this. These are representatives, senators, and congressmen that want to do the right thing, and they really do care about humanity, and this is their way of doing it. And I think working with the Nigerian government, and really showing the Nigerian government that the power of the United States actually cares about what's happening here, I think we can get a lot done and save a lot of lives.
All right, Mr. Jotol, thank you for talking to us this morning.
I'm very sure that most of us know this man. His name is Rep. Moore. He is a member of U.S. Congress, and he has been the one giving information to the White House about this issue of insecurity in Nigeria. Of course, he has been to Nigeria. And he was sent by Trump himself. Now, early this year, January 2026, this man came out and said, well, we are going to propose to Trump that one of the best ways to solve the issue of insecurity in Nigeria is by dividing Nigeria into two, the North and the South. That was what he said in January. In February, he came out and said, oh, we are not dividing Nigeria again. Instead, we are stopping Sharia. That was what he said in February. Now we are in March. He has come out to say another thing. Meanwhile, they have not divided Nigeria. Sharia has not stopped, and now they are proposing another thing. That is why I said that I think something is going on in this Congress. I think something has exchanged hand here that we really need to talk about. Well, let's look at what he said, or what he is proposing that will take place this time around. According to him, he said, look at the news, he says, U.S. Congressman advocates state police to tackle Nigeria insecurity. So what he is proposing this time around is that the best way to solve insecurity in Nigeria is to create state police. State police. Yes, I know that creating state police will help, advance, security in every state. But do you think that is the best way to stop this, mass killing, this Boko Haram, these terrorists? Is state police the best way to stop them? I thought what we are talking about is, a permanent solution to solving insecurity in Nigeria. So how come state police is on the table again? Well, let's read the news and see what he said. Of course, you see, this news was published just yesterday, being the 25th day of March, 2026, right? So let's look at what he said and why he is proposing that. All right. Furthermore, he said, a United States Congressman, Willie Moore, has called for the decentralization of Nigeria's policing system, arguing that state government must be empowered to respond more effectively to worsening insecurity, particularly in the country's middle belt.
So what he is calling for now is for state police. So you know what is state police? That each state will have the police that is policing them. All right. He went further to say, Mo made the assertion in a post on X on Wednesday, urging Nigerian authorities to take more effective steps to protect citizens. All right. The lawmaker advocated structural reforms to Nigeria's policing framework, stressing that it is past time to decentralize police authority in the country. So what he's saying is that, you know, each state should have their own police. All right, let's see the reason why he said that. He said Christians in Nigeria continue to face brutal violence and death at the hands of radical Islamic terrorists. The government in Abuja must step up and protect their citizens in the Middle Belt. I don't know why he kept saying Middle Belt. Is it not in the north again? Or Northerners not part of Nigeria anymore? It's past time to decentralize police authority so state government can protect their citizens and stop this horrific persecution. All right, so that is what he's saying. But I wonder why he's always saying Middle Belt. Why not the northern part of Nigeria? Another Christian church in Nigeria destroyed by Fulani militants. These are photos of St. James the Great Catholic Church in Adu, Taraba. Just constant terrorism against these Christians. Of course, there was a picture that was, placed under this, the picture of the church that was attacked by these terrorists in Taraba State. So I'm not going to display the picture, but it's just telling you that, Christians are really, really going through a lot in Nigeria. And the best way this man is proposing is for state policing. Will state policing stop insecurity in Nigeria? Well, furthermore, he said, let me zoom it so you can see it. He said, his comment add to growing international attention on Nigerian security challenges, particularly calls for reforms that would allow subnational government to play a greater role in maintaining law and order. All right. The call also comes amid renewed moves by the federal government to advance the creation of state police as part of efforts to tackle the country's multifaceted security challenges. So the federal government of Nigeria has already started making moves to, creating of state police before really more also come to add his own voice that state police will help to tackle insecurity in Nigeria. Of course, I believe that state police will help, but it is not the permanent. We are looking at the permanent solution. It's not just a temporary solution. You get? So finally, on this note, he said, Nigerian Inspector General of Police Tunji Dusu recently inaugurated an 8-man member committee to drive the implementation of state policing, signaling what appears to be a significant step by the administration of Bola Tinubu toward decentralizing the national security architecture. All right, so as I said, the federal government of Nigeria has also started that process. So here it is saying that the Inspector General of Police has also inaugurated 8 members as a committee to look towards, creation of state police. All right. The committee is expected to develop the framework for the proposed state policing model and coordinate its rollout in line with the IGP's broader policing vision, following his confirmation as the 23rd Indigenous Inspector General of Police. All right. So on the final note, he says, President Bola Tinubu has also urged members of the National Assembly, particularly the Senate, to begin the process of amending the Constitution to accommodate state police, describing the decentralization of policing as vital to reclaiming forests from armed groups and combating terrorism. So, as I said, the federal government of Nigeria has already started that process before even really more came about with his quest for state policing. So, as I said, state policing is good, but for me, it is not a permanent way to solve it, right? First of all, why I made that proverb in the beginning. This man has been advocating for some things, but suddenly, he changed mind. He started by, okay, let's stop Sharia. Now he's saying, let's do state policing. What happened? Anyway, We are still waiting for them to come up with something tangible. I mean, a meaningful something. Because when they talk about insecurity in Nigeria, some of us think it's just a child's play. I just watched a video where, holy Jesus, I don't even know how to say that. 150 persons were unalive by bandits in the north. 150. I watched the video. I can't play it here, or this platform will bring it down. So when we talk about insecurity, it's not a child's play. People are dying on daily basis, and we need a solution, a tangible solution to end this menace in Nigeria.
If they like, may they detain all the whole Biafrans. One thing that is assured is that Biafra must come. Is a destiny that must be fulfilled. So no matter how they try to do them, me waiting I know be say my children will enjoy the fruit of Biafra. So all these things where they happen right now is something that must happen, because it's not an easy journey. Mazina the Kalusi is not an easy journey. Samonet by Ivan Parker. So it's not an easy journey. So but I believe that by this year runs down, I'm hopeful, I'm optimistic that Biafra will come. So the children of Israel, it took them so many years for them to get to their promised land, which is what is happening to the people of Biafra. So we have the same like minds with them. So I'm not going to just talk much. Drop your opinion at the comment section. Don't forget to share this video to everyone on every social media platform. Don't forget to click the subscribe button for more updates. The only way you fit to support us and to share this video. Thank you, my lovely people. Drop your thoughts at the comment section and write freedom for Mazina and freedom for the people of Biafra.